Welcome to the March update. I know this one's been long overdue. Um, been really working hard on trying to figure out these remaining bugs, which are to me game breaking. And unfortunately, we've spent hundreds of hours and are nowhere near a solution. So I figured I'll just do an update on what's changed at least, and we'll keep going on trying to figure out these bugs. But enough of that. Let's just focus on where we're at right now. So I have added some options for the restriction of hires. So you can do it based on um, the progression, which is your charismatic nature level. There's by default now it's going to be progression and player level, which means that not only do you need to level your charismatic nature, but you also need to reach a certain player level in order to hire a certain type of NPC. So obviously, if you don't want the player level, you can change that. But it's a good way to make sure that you can't get like an auto shotgun NPC right off the gate. And you also have an option to not be able to hire any. Some people don't like to play with NPCs, so that's a way to restrict that. I've added a quality of life option if you want to enable, disable quick stack, and there's another one which is the default. We'll get into that a bit later. So I've got some additional pack mule bonuses that I will be going through. I've seen a couple of mods on the GNS video that talked about some of the latest mods and features that he enjoyed. One of them is path smoothing from Redbeard. And so I've hooked that in. If you want to be able to turn it on or off, some people like the current pathing in 7 days, and I personally do enjoy this path smoothing, so I put it as on by default. And then the gore is the blood splatter mods. I have made some changes to it so that you can, when I say changes, I'm not actually changing the mod. This is outside of the mods, but I am letting players see them in multiplayer. The problem is, in multiplayer, over time, there is a performance impact. So uh, these features won't show. So either you turn them on or off, but if you turn them on, they'll only actually show in single player. So there's no multiplayer just because of the performance issues. Another feature that was asked is the ability to turn the health bars off, because by default those are on, and some people want the extra challenge of not knowing how much health is left on your targets. And then the next set of features are around the number of zombies and the frequency. I've added some options if you want to ramp up during your playthrough. There's a gradual setting. There is the option of obviously not have any, or there's a random option, and this goes for the frequency as well, so that from one day to the next, you may get variation between very little to quite a bit. So it depends on the play style. Mutated zombies. So mutated zombies will appear in POIs, and by default, they could spawn minions right off the bat. So that was the always setting. So I've added a few settings. If you want to delay this a little bit after day 14 or have them never spawn any minions, that's a way for you to control that. I have split what I used to call, I don't know if it was POI sense or something like that. It used to be part of Feral Sense. So as soon as you turned on Feral Sense, then getting close to POI, the sleepers would automatically wake up. So I have changed this so that you could have Feral Sense, but not toggle this option. And I've also added some options if you want this to occur during the day only at nights. I don't know if it was there. Yeah, never. And the same thing with Feral Sense. I've added the day only, etc. Now, in terms of auras, and I'll get through some examples a little bit later on in the video, the auras can now trigger when you get hit. So if a zombie comes to you and will hit you, and you have one or many auras, they will trigger, but with a cooldown. So you can turn this feature off. You can use a default, which is a cooldown. So, you know, if you get successive hits, obviously they won't trigger all the time. Or if you want to have a setting where they trigger every time you get hit, then leave that on. So depending on the feature, depending on the aura, obviously you'll get some benefits. If you were the thug, you get hit, everything around you in area of effect would get stunned and gives you the opportunity to maybe get away from the area. And the same as with the frequency and the spawn amount for zombies, I've done some randoms for the wandering horde frequency, and the same thing with them gradually going up. So the first category we'll look at is auras. I'm a berserker right now, but if you look at my stats, I'm actually also a level 7 hunter, a level 6 techno geek, and a level 6 thug. So once you reach level 6 on these classes, you get the benefit of their auras. So I've got these 3 auras here for each of those classes. As a berserker, you would expect, because it's a special class, it has no auras, and because these auras are triggered normally by using ranged weapons, that the berserker wouldn't really benefit from them. But berserker actually does benefit quite a bit. So normally, and I'll just point out that that one exception, the butcher can trigger their aura by using swords, so in melee. So that's the one exception. So back to the berserker by default wouldn't be able to trigger those, but in the options I did talk about the fact that you could trigger an aura if you were attacked. So if you were hit, let's let Bo hit us, triggered all 3 auras, and he died. So that is one way to trigger the auras. The other way as a berserker is to use your rage. So let's set up a scenario where we have a bunch of radiated bows that are surrounding us. We'll take 20 of those. What happens is when you activate rage, it will activate these 3 auras that we have in an area of effect, so all around you. And the higher the rage level, so rage goes up with the berserker level, then the higher, the longer the distance of that area of effect. So right now I don't have any rage activated, and as soon as I activate it, you'll see that it touched everyone around me. These guys are a little bit too far. It's quite strong. These guys died. These guys are almost dead. So it essentially triggered every single one of these auras per entity. So given that, let's say we were to take the Rain of Arrows from the Hunter, given the Rain of Arrows has an area of effect itself, it multiplies around what's there. And see, I've got 24 seconds left. If I were to do it again, I can't because my defensive rage is active. But every time that the cooldown is over, then you can activate it once again. The other benefit from the berserker being paired with other classes is if you're a berserker and let's say you've got a hunter in your party, and this is affected by the party range defined in the options, then the activation of rage gives your party members in range a much higher chance of triggering their own auras for about 20 seconds. Let's try this again. Rage cooldown. Oh, see, the rage is done, and then rage cooldown is 2 minutes, so I'd have to wait 2 minutes. So it's extremely strong, but you can only use it every maybe 3 minutes or so. Still on the topic of auras, we've got the mercenaries. So the mercenaries are aligned with the butcher class, which means that they can trigger the butcher's bleeds or on hits. But for them, it's 100% chance. So I'm in spectator mode. Let's bring in maybe 10 of these radiateds, which would take a while to get rid of. So we'll see how the mercenaries deal with them. So we will spawn in our mercenaries and see how this goes. So with every hit, the mercenaries will trigger the bleed. You can see the bleed going on a number of these entities, and they're falling down quite fast because the bleed at this level is fairly strong, and the higher tier the mercenaries, the more damage the bleed will do. Now let's get into NPCs. Spawn in, say, a survivor SMG. And if you were to look at the qualifications, now there's a required player level, which you can bypass in the options. We've talked about that. But by default, unless you reach a certain level, you won't be able to hire them. So let's go and hire her. They benefit from the same thing. Let's say we were to put them on pause so that they don't actually attack. They benefit from the same ores you have. So if I was to put in a bow, well, how about you attack her? See, as soon as they attack NPCs, it's the same thing as with players, the auras will trigger. Now, one thing that I've changed is it's a little bit easier to level them, so it requires less kills. And there are some advantages in terms of you leveling Pack Mule, because you'll be able to use a shortcut. So, for example, before I show that, let's
resume.
Let's get her to fight again. Sometimes if we were to have, say, a bunch of guys over there, she's fighting, sometimes you would want her to teleport to you and stay there so you can talk to them. So if we were to do that, then she will stay for a number of seconds before she runs off and does something else. Yeah, I mapped it to the it's been changed. Instead of backspace, it's the Q key because it's closer to the arrows, but obviously I was in debug mode, so turned on God mode as well. Now, in terms of the Pack Mule, we'll have to give ourselves some levels. So let's go in Constitution. First, let's check which level we need. So if we go to Pack Mule at level nearest owned vehicle. Okay, so level 3, I get to unlock the ability to dump and grab inventory to and from hired NPCs within 50 meters. So let's go and gears up ourselves Pack Mule level 3. So Pack Mule 1, 2, 3. So when I look at my my backpack, I now have a few icons. So this will dump my current inventory to the NPC inventory, and this will grab it. So if I was to add a bunch of stuff, doesn't really matter what. Let's add this stuff, and let's lock. I want to keep the cache, but I want to dump everything else. So if I go and look in the inventory, all the stuff is in there. So if I had a whole bunch of NPCs, my inventory was full, using this would go through their inventory and dump as much as you could throughout their inventory. And this is used for you to grab whatever's in their inventory. So this is useful in the sense that, let's say you have the auto loot mods, it populates their inventory to not encumber you with a whole bunch of stuff that is looted from the corpses. Once you get to your base and you want to dump everything using quick stack, then what you could do is um, just get it. This button will get it from every single NPC so that you have it in your inventory, then you can dump it. The other thing that's useful is that if you have, let's say we grab some boiled water, because as you know, if you were to put some boiled water in an NPC's inventory and you want to set them on fire, then they will put out their own fire. Now, grabbing this stuff will leave the boiled water in their inventory. It'll do the same for the elemental immunity mods and the healing meds like the bandages or the first aid kits, so that they can also heal themselves. Oh, and of course, I forgot to mention something. So if you were to look at the qualifications, they have a magazine size and a shots per round, etc. So as you level them, you're used to their inventory size getting bigger, their armor class getting higher, and their damage also getting higher. But what you don't normally get is an increase in magazine size or shots per round. So by default, I think the NPC mod for, let's say, the SMG will fire 6 shots. Let's say in this case, she had an inventory of 12. It would fire 6, wait a little bit, fire another 6, then reload. So what I've done is, instead of having a pause, I will let the NPC fire all the rounds in the magazines and then reload. And that's the pause. The reload is the pause. And the higher they get in level, the more magazine size they get, which means that they will deal even more damage because there's less of a pause, right? So given the reload is the only pause. Now we'll dive into questing. We all know that berry supplies aren't popular as a type of quest. And so I've tried to make them a little bit more interesting. And so you get a chance whenever you get to the supplies of getting drinks, of getting, some fairly decent foods. And it doesn't show here, but also a chance at getting some schematics. So I've done a prior buried supplies. As you can see here, I got a couple of schematics. And this is a good way, given drinks are really important in Rebirth, if you haven't found them in the world, to go and do some of these to get a chance at some of these schematics. This shows you that you will either get drinks or schematics or good foods. And the higher the tier, I think Spirit Supplies level 2 or 3 also gives you a chance at other types of schematics, including food schematics and any other, a very low chance of any other schematic. So they're good to have. Let's just grab all of these and go to the trader. One thing I've done with the trader is, whenever you see the list of quests, so let's pick our rewards.
Stop staring, asshole.
I've changed the rewards a little bit, so you can get some good food. At least in tier 1s, you can get some good food, because early on, food will be a little bit of an issue. But if you were to look at, and I know we're just level 1 here, but if you were to look at the names here, you'll never see an infested quest show up. And it's not because they're not there, it's just I don't let you know that they're infested. One of the reasons is that you can easily pick only infested quests, ramp up your ammo that way, and this way, this is a surprise. You could figure it out if you know the POIs and which level you're at, etc. But at least it won't be super evident. And now we're on to vehicles. Well, you haven't really played, so you wouldn't really know. But when you find a vehicle and you repair it, and let's say you want to put in some gas, have to go through here and refuel. So I've got 41% here. And let's say I find another vehicle and I want to use that one. what sucks about the game is that you can't siphon the existing gas and put it in the other vehicle. So what I've done is I've created this option to siphon the gas, so it puts it back into your inventory. So something fairly simple, but quite useful. The other parts, we talked about the ability to dump and grab inventory from the NPCs. If we were to go back to Pack Mule, and so this is the NPCs. This unlocks the auto loot from the vehicle options, and this does the dump and grab from the own vehicle. So let's do the same as we did and give ourselves a little bit more constitution. Open up the next two pack mules. I will give myself a dev gun just to be able to kill something fairly easily. And now in the option here, I have the ability to turn on this auto loot. And what this does, if we were to get, let's say, a seeker. So I'm going to drops a bag, and this bag is going to be picked up by the vehicle at a certain interval. So let's go and see what it picked up. So this is what it picked up from the bag. So it's good if you want to leave it outside your base on Horde Night. That'll pick up every single bag. If you just want to pick up the bags in the world, that's another way to do it as well. And the other thing is these icons here, just like we had the NPC ones here. I have no NPCs, so they won't show up. I can go and grab all the stuff from my vehicle or dump it, and it's the same thing. All the lock slots are kept. So if I was to be, say, doing a quest in a POI, I'm fairly far. Depending on the distance, this will still show up. Sorry, this is grab, this is dump. But if I go too far, and I haven't really tested this option that well, see, it stops showing up. So it's a good option if you get to a certain point in the game and you've invested enough in Pack Mule, you'll be able to dump your inventory while you're questing into your vehicle that's outside, so that you don't have to worry too much about encumbrance for those of you who are loot goblins. The next topic will be mods. I've changed how mods are inserted. The ore mods will still go into the various armor pieces, but the global ones will go into clothing instead. So you got the auto loot mod as well. And I've also given a slot in the cigar if you do get it, and glasses to put some of these. Let's put some in the pants, which gives you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 class ore mods you can put in, and then 1, 2. This one has some as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 global auras, or the explosion immunity, or the auto loot mods. The other thing to look into is the fact that, and this is pretty common, once you have the college jacket, you tend to want to keep it because it gives you a bonus, and leather duster doesn't. It's the same thing with the high performance running shoes. So if you were to, if you were to grab 5 of these jackets and the running shoes, then you could, using 5 of those running shoes, create yourself a mod. And the same thing with the college jacket, so that you could, if you wanted to, use the duster, put in the college jacket mod, and you would get the same bonuses as if you had the college jacket mod, or put the high performance running shoe mods into armor. Now let's talk about progression a little bit. I have changed the genetics experience progression. It'll be reduced by 80% on Horde Knights, and you will get 0% experience for strength if you're using ranged weapons. Um, so it's a way to help you focus on melee to gain some of the benefits. The other thing you'll notice if you look at the bottom left of the screen over here, I've added this progression visual. I'm holding a pickaxe. I have some coffee and some goldenrod in me. I started breaking down some of this, and you'll see that the progression changes as I'm mining. So let's say I'm at Stone Axe level 5. If I was to, and obviously I wouldn't have a pickaxe like this, it was just to be able to get the progression to go up a little bit faster. But let's say I started with a level 1. You see a little hammer showed up at the bottom to show me that I can craft something better than what I'm holding. So if I'm holding something better, it won't show up. If I'm using the level 1, it'll say, by the way, you can craft a level 5 quality stone axe. And if I was to obviously break this down a little further, it'll show, well, now you can do an iron pickaxe. So it's the same thing for weapons as well. The weapons will show what you can craft. Obviously, I don't have anything right now. This will show nothing because it's not unlocked. So if I was to, let's say, do the builder, go. Unlocked it because I'm the builder, and it'll say you can craft a quality 1 pistol at this point. So no matter what you are holding, it'll show your progression in that line, just as a nice visual to tell you without having to go through the crafting menu to see where you're at in terms of the quality you can craft. The other things I have added is if you've unlocked the Farmer Trader will sell the stew schematics. So you've got the vegetable, and this is the vegetable stew. The vegetable stew and the meat stew. The vegetable stew will increase your ranged expertise experience gain by 25%. And the meat stew will do the same, but for melee. So it's a good way if you want to unlock the trader, if you haven't found the schematics in the world. It's a good way to unlock the trader, learn the schematics, and give yourself a little boost in terms of being able to increase your progression a little faster. The last part is music. I have received so many requests since A20 to put music, the Rebirth menu music, into the game somehow. Decide to do it, and there are two ways. Someone made a suggestion, so thank you for people who leave suggestions in the ideas channel, because I might not respond very often, but I do read everything. And there was one suggestion that said I'd like to be able to listen to that music while I am riding in a vehicle. So what I've done is I've added in the global achievements a category called synthwave, and there are 3 volumes. And each volume has one of the songs from A21's menu. And if you were to unlock volumes, let's say volume 1, you would get 100 additional max stamina and 30% more resources while mining. So you would have to find all of these cassettes in the world, and you can find them in duffel bags, backpacks, and nightstands. Volume 2 would give you 20% additional run speed, and Volume 3 would be 25% more melee damage to zombies. So we will look at the cassettes. So we will learn a few of them. There we go. And now you'll see the checkbox for the ones that you have found. And when you are inside the motorcycle, I should have some gas. That would be helpful because I siphoned it earlier. Refuel. You can use the backspace key to turn on the music. The minus key will reduce the volume. The plus key will raise it. And then the slash key will move to the next song. So it's a good way to get some of the music. It gives you a little mini quest to do, you know, find the music in the world. And as soon as you're out of the vehicle, well, the music stops. So now people will say, well, I want to listen to the music while I am I'm doing activities, not just on the vehicle. So you have a chance to find Walkman and headphones in the world, and then through these you can craft this mods that you can put in your headgear. So let's see, do we have enough room? Yes, we do have enough room. So let's put that in there. And as soon as you have it, it's the same thing, but it will show at the bottom here, you'll see it'll show the song name. And if you were to say, we'll learn all the cassettes. So now you see 3 icons showed up. So those are the bonuses that we talked about when you complete the volumes. So this shows that I've got the mining bonus, I've got the speed one, and I've got the melee bonus. And so as long as you listen to the music, if I was to stop it, the bonuses go away. If I start it, then it will activate itself. So you can listen to the music as you're mining, as you're killing, doesn't matter. But again, it's just something fun for you to explore. Just one final note. Forgot it was entered to change the skip to the next song. So one final note is again, I want to thank the patrons. This series of bugs which is preventing me from releasing, these guys have spent hundreds of hours trying to help me figure it out. It is just one of these things that you cannot reproduce easily. It takes sometimes 21 hours for it to just even show up. So we'll keep at it. We'll hopefully figure it out sometime soon. Until then, I will keep on working on some of the new features, and hopefully we'll see you soon.